Peace and blessings to you all. My name is Lester Young. I'm a transformational coach, speaker, and author. Where I help individuals turn their setbacks into comebacks by changing their mindset, their behavior choices, which ultimately brings about a transformation in their lives. Today, I want to share tip 3 in the series that I've been sharing this week called How to Support Your Loved One After Incarceration. You know, it's very important that as your loved one transitioning from prison to life on the outside, it's important that these 3 tips that I'm sharing with you all, like, you really consider applying them. The first tip that I shared in the top of the week was simplifying the choices for your loved one, because choices sometimes can be overwhelming for a person who's transitioning out of prison. Tip 2 was giving your loved one space after they're released from prison, giving them that space to process life, decompress all of the trauma, all of the things that they endured prior to prison, during their incarceration, but most importantly, give them that space to get ready to take on the challenges of life after prison, because it's going to be a test. Tip 3 is create an environment of accountability for your loved one. Like, accountability is going to be, it's a key ingredient to helping your loved one succeed after incarceration. But it's sometimes, depending upon the individual, they may not want no one to hold them accountable, because it may remind them of a correctional officer. It may remind them of when they were growing up, their parents may have been what they consider nitpicking. But you have to understand that creating an environment of accountability for your loved one that's the key ingredients. And what does accountability mean? Like, sit down with your loved one after a few months they've been home from prison. Like, sit down and begin have them outline what their next 6 months want to look like. Have them outline what their next year is going to look like. Outline the next 3 years. Have them sit down and begin to be very detailed about what their strategy is, what their goals are for these periods of their transition out of prison. And once they have written it down, the second thing I encourage you to do, once they have written it down, like, place it throughout your house. Find places where you could actually put the goals up, create a space, a vision board of something, put it somewhere where he or she sees it every day, and let that begin to be a reminder for them, like, this is what you said you're going to do. And as a supporter of you, as a lover, as someone who loves you, I'm going to do everything within my ability, within moderation, to hold you accountable for that. Meaning that if you say you're going to go and put in for 10 jobs, or you want to go back to school, then I'm going to do everything within my power to do just that. Okay. So this will be the 2 things I will encourage is creating, as I mentioned, create that accountability environment. Have them sit down after a couple of weeks, a couple of months out of prison, and write out what their plans are. 2 is that once they have done that, now create a vision board, create a space where you can place these things, where you and your loved one begins to go over what these goals are on a daily basis. Because it's very important that you be repetitious with the goals, but most importantly, accountability. Because it's all too often that loved ones, when their husbands or their girlfriends or their children come home from prison, we get so enamored with them being home, and we're loving on them, and we celebrating them. But it's important that you don't allow them to fall back into a comfort zone. Falling back in that comfort zone may delay them, or not hinder, but may prevent them from going forward in the way that they need to go forward. Because returning home from prison has many challenges. In most cases, individuals who are returning home from prison is not prepared for these challenges, because in their minds, they already have all of these preconceived notions that, oh, my life is going to be this. I'm going to get out and make this type of money. I'm going to start this kind of a business. And it's not definitely going to happen the first couple months out of prison, and going back again to that accountability environment and having a list of goals, is that now a person may get out of prison, and they may get out and make not $5, but they may end up making bare minimum of $8, $9, $10 an hour job, $11, $12 an hour. And this is where that accountability and this is where this goal setting comes from, is like they cannot get discouraged because they may meet someone on the job that is making $20 an hour. They got to understand that it takes time to build up to making the type of money that you think you should make, especially when you're working on the job. Like, really, this is that accountability, is like reminding them that no one just walks out of prison. Very few people, it's very rare that individuals walk right out of prison into a job that is paying them $75,000 a year, $100,000 a year. When I say very few, you just ain't walking out of prison and walking in that type of money. You know what I'm saying? But you have to help them be very mindful that this is it's gonna take time. It's gonna take time to get where you need to be. But this accountability is important to help you get where you need to be. But also writing out your goals is going to be key to helping you get where you need to be. So hold them accountable. Now, someone asked me this question, and I'm gonna share this. Someone asked me, like, how can they love their loved one or support their loved one that is currently in prison? Because they was like, yo, Lester, you sharing all these videos about how to love them after prison. How could I love and support them while they're in prison? And I would say, for those who have a loved one that is currently in prison, I encourage you to create an accountability environment while they're there. Like, hold them accountable for what they say that they're going to do. And I would say, if your loved one have within a year, 6 months, 90 days of them being released from prison, like, really sit down and challenge them to begin writing out their goals every day, what their days, what their life outside of prison will look like, and have them write out these goals and begin and send it home to you. Send their goals home to you, and they keep a goal. The second thing I would tell you, if you have a loved one that is currently in prison and they're about to be released from prison, have them write a letter to themselves every week. And what you do, once they send a letter to you home every week to themselves, like, have them write a letter to themselves every week, reminding them of where they come from, reminding them of their goals, reminding them of what they said. So every week they send a letter to you, you take that letter and you mark it week 1, week 2. As many letters they send before they're released from prison, they send it home to you. So what you do is that you get that letter every week that they're home. You give them one letter that they wrote to themselves as a reminder of what they say that they're going to do. That's an accountability environment, right? So every week they send you, maybe you got 12 letters. You have 12 letters from your loved one that they written to themselves after prison. You take these 12 letters and you label them. Once they get home from prison, every week you sit down with your loved one, reviewing the goals that they have stated they want to accomplish, and have them read that one letter to themselves. Read that letter they sent themselves that week. Then every week you sit down with them. If they have 12 letters, 12 for 12 weeks, you make sure that you take the time to have them read a letter that they've written to themselves, so that these letters can reinforce to them where they come from and the goals and the plans that they say that they want to accomplish in their life. That's just my tip for those individuals who are currently in prison, as well as those who are returning home from prison. I thank you all for taking the time to listen to these videos, and hopefully you would got some benefit from that. Please go